Hello guys, welcome to this quick follow-up video on the two strategies that we made a few months ago, the whole moving average and the BB percentage B scalping strategy. So I have been running these strategies on paper mode for some time now, and I think it's a good time now that Bitcoin is heating up and you guys are like itching for good strategies. It's a good time that we're gonna take a look at what's been happening since they were starting in paper mode and some optimizations that I made to the platform to better understand this strategy. So let's get started. First, we can talk about the whole moving average strategy. And we have the original strategy and the one with the higher win rate. If you remember, it has a timer for 10 days and a minimum take profit of 0.1%. And they have both doing decently well, but the one with the higher win rate has been doing much better. If you look at the total profit, the original one is higher, but it's also because the bots have different value. I didn't realize that when I started the bots. But if you look at a percentage return daily, the one with a higher win rate is almost 3 times more. Anyway, both are sitting right now on 15% and 18% unrealized profit. So they have been doing what they were supposed to, which is catching the rise. And as you know, Bitcoin recently has been pumping a lot. So they have been doing exactly what I was expecting them to do. We can take a look at some of the entries that it made. And let's take a look, for example, at this Solana entry. And let's disable this so we can see it better. And yeah, it entered a pretty good point. It caught up all the pump here. And let's see Bitcoin. It entered here, and now we have all these rise. So perfect. It did exactly as we wanted it to do, and I'm pretty happy with this one. So I plan to run this one on a live account, but since the market is quite overheated at the moment, I don't want to enter right here. I might wait for a little cool down or maybe a little retracement, and then I'll probably start this strategy already on a live account. One of the reasons why I'm super excited about the HMA strategy is because it works really well on spot, and therefore we can profit in base. However, at the time of the recording, I didn't show you what is the effect of profiting in base because the backtester assumed profiting in quote. But since then, we've made a modification, and now we can show you also in the backtester what is the equity graph. And I have made one backtest over here around the same time period that this paper bot has been running. And you can see that the numbers are quite similar. We have a 0.29 daily return and is sitting on almost a 15% open P&L, and that is exactly what we have here in our paper bot, 0.27 and 15.12. Now we have actually two graphs. One is a realized profit, which is if we're profiting in base, this will be the value of the base at that time when we close the deal. But now we also have the equity graph, and the equity graph is a value of the bot positions and the bot profit over time. And when you profit in base, the value of that base is going to be changing over time, and that's going to reflect on the equity chart. So if you can see here, both are quite similar at the point where the deals are closed. However, if you can see here, the equity has been going really high, more than our realized profit, and that is because Bitcoin and the altcoins have been going nuts recently. And that is actually the value of profiting in base. If you believe that the token that you're trading will increase in value, then it makes sense to accumulate that token by profiting in base, and the value of your account will increase even more than if you were profiting in quote. And now we can take a look at the Bollinger Bands Percentage B scalping strategy. And for this one, I honestly thought it was gonna perform a little bit better is on 0.15% daily, which is not too bad. It had some wins and it had some losses. We can take a look. It has no deals open at the moment, but you can see here in the history, it's being a little bit up and down, but on the positive side, it still made a profit and with a high win rate. But after the strategy was launched, which was December, January, the strategy was not entering in as many deals as we had expected. And if you remember the backtest, we had quite high number of deals per day, 1.1. And at that time, there were some even 2 and 3 days in a row that didn't enter any deals at all. And some of you who were following this strategy and were also testing the strategy were wondering, is it really, did I do something wrong? Because it's not entering any deals. So I realized that what we're looking here is just an average of the past 3 years, and I've extended the backtest up until the most recent date. And when you're looking at the average, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be doing equally the same as the average, right? So I realized that we needed some more digging into the numbers to really understand the strategy. So in the analysis tab, we introduce something which is the breakdown per month and per year. And especially over the longer duration backtest, is going to give you a much greater insight into what the strategy is actually doing and what you can expect month to month or year to year. So if we dig into the numbers and we analyze per month and per year, we can see that in 2021, it was the best year with a 410%, but then 2022 was only 26%, and 2023, 12.26%. And if you put this in the context of what was happening during this time, it's actually quite surprising that this long strategy managed to turn out a profit, even though these 2 years was not that great for trading long. And but that doesn't mean that every month is going to be positive. As you can see here, there were 2 negatives here, another 2 negative here, and so it was not very consistent. So that prompted me to add another metric to the backtester, which is this one, is the consistency weighted return. And basically what this does is that it will give you a number, and the higher the number means that the more consistent the strategy is. And we can see, there's other calculations here, but we can see if we compare these two strategies that the green strategy, it's quite consistent over time. And even though the red strategy was, up and down, and at the end, it managed to get more profit than the green one, is not as consistent. So the green one, even though the final profit might be a bit lower, it's a lot more consistent, and that is preferable for a lot of people. So now when you make a backtest, you will also have that information right on the performance ratios. And you can see that the consistency weighted return for the strategy is 0.2. It's not super high. I would prefer to see this maybe over 1 or so. But it is what it is. I think maybe after making some further modifications to the strategy, or perhaps picking a better coin mix, we could get a more consistent month to month. Nevertheless, January was quite a little bit slow, and it was actually negative, and there was also, I think, one liquidation. Yeah. However, since this strategy did quite well at the beginning of the bull run, and I think there is a good chance that things are going to keep going the way they are for a while. So I think this strategy might do quite well in the coming weeks and months. But even if there is some sort of downturn, I still think the strategy will be okay in the longer term. So I'm not too worried. And therefore I decided to already run this strategy on a live account. And it's been 3 days and it already made $283. And yeah, I'm quite happy, but of course 3 days is not enough time. We'll have to see, we have to wait a little bit more and see. But that's all, guys. It's everything I wanted to say regarding these strategies. I have more updates coming up your way, so stay tuned for those. And until then, happy trading and be safe. I'll see you on the next one.